Maple Leafs head coach Sheldon Keefe speaks out on the recent goaltending struggles, and can we possibly see a trade incoming to fix this? We'll break this down for you coming up on this episode of Hattrick HQ. But before we get into it, just want to say if you're one of the thousands of people watching this that aren't subscribed, make sure to go down below, hit that subscribe button, become part of the community here. So we'll be here all season long, keep me up to date on what's happening around the hockey world. But with that said, let's get right into the first topic of the video today, which is Sheldon Keefe speaks out on Samsonov. And as we take a look here, he said it's the NHL. We need saves, we need points, and we need wins. So I'm sure Treliving is going to consider everything. And we go here. He also says in back-to-back situations like we're in right now, you're going to have to use both your guys. So there's times where we're going to need Sammy in between his starts. He's going to have to continue to work and find himself. He's a good goaltender. He's a far better goaltender than he's played here this season. And as we take a look at Samsonov's stats here, so far this season, he's posting a 5-2 and going to for 6 games going to overtime so far in his starts this season with an 8.62 save percentage, 3.94 goals against. Mark, obviously, it's not new news to everybody that Samsonov has unfortunately been struggling here to start the season. I really do think I agree with what Sheldon Keefe has said here. I really do think he's a far better goaltender, and I really do think, with just a couple of tweaks from the goaltending coach, I really do think that he could get back to form.
Yeah, it kind of worries me just looking at his game so far. I mean, last year we seen what Samsonov's form should be. He looked outstanding. He was a big reason we got so far as we did last year, except for when he went down and Joesph Woll did take over. But coming into the season, it seemed like this was his crease to lose. He seems like he lost that to Woll, and it really looks like he is losing this to Martin Jones now. But the big thing with Samsonov is every part of his game kind of feels a little off to me. His mental game has been a little shaky. We've seen him kind of not in position a lot of the time. We see him giving up a couple weak ones, sliding out of his net, not really knowing where his posts are. I know we've seen a lot of this with Peter Mrazek when he was in Toronto as well, but I do agree he is a better goalie than this. He is going through a giant slump. But the problem with that is how long of a leash can you really give this guy? The Leafs are looking to win the Stanley Cup again. They not that they won, sorry, but they are looking to compete for the Stanley Cup. And having a goalie that you can't trust every game or every second game at this point is a bit worrying. This is a team that wants to win the President's Trophy, make it to the Stanley Cup Finals, win the Stanley Cup, and seeing this struggle is a little worrying, like I've been saying. The big thing is if they had Joesph Woll this whole season and a guy like Samsonov in his last year's version, this is a team that could be in the President's Trophy race. They'd be at top of the Atlantic, but they're giving up a lot of easy points, especially to teams like last night in Columbus, where they should be winning these games. They shouldn't be giving up the 5, the 6 goals on just 20 shots. So it's going to be interesting on how long of a leash and what they do with Samsonov moving forward, really.
Yeah, it really sucks to see because I really, like Sheldon Keefe said, I really do think he's a far better goaltender than what he's shown. And I really don't know what the fix is here for Samsonov. I really do think it's kind of a similar situation to what we've seen in Edmonton with Jack Campbell earlier this season. Struggling, the mental game is not all there right now. I really do think we could potentially see a conditioned stint down with the Marlies. I really do think that this might help him, get to see a win, maybe boost his confidence a little bit. Not that it's hurting him in the sense where he's going down the AHL. I mean that's hard on the mental as well. But I think if he gets to see a few wins down there and he comes back up, I think he'll be, re-energized and ready to go. I really do think he's a great goaltender. I really do think he could be a starter here in Toronto. I think he just needs to get over this little hump that he's in right now, and I think he'll get back to form. But as we take a look at another stat here, I mean, if any of the fans watching this remember Vesa Toskala, his worst year as a Leaf, it was in 2009-2010 with an 880 save percentage, and the league average back then was 909. But so far this season, Ilya Samsonov is currently a 871 save percentage in a year where the league average is 903. I mean, they say that's the territory he's in right now. I mean, it just keeps getting worse and worse for Samsonov. I know a lot of you viewers watch this want to blame the defense, but I believe in last night's game, it was probably the most complete defensive game we've seen in the Toronto Maple Leafs this season. I mean, there was a couple of goals there where he really didn't have a chance on, but there was a couple that I'm sure he wants back today, looking back at the film. And I just really hate to see this because I know this guy's going through a lot right now, and the media is just hounding on him, and it just really sucks to see.
Yeah, the big thing is you look at this Leafs team, the forwards are probably at their peak. We're seeing Matthews' ultimate form, really. This is a guy that's on pace for 70 plus goals. We see every line contributing, looking good. We finally have a healthy defense with Giordano and Liljegren back. Benoit's been stepping up Lagesson. So many players are playing at what they should be or better. And the goalies are kind of letting the Leafs down in the sense. And you can't go into every game and not win games when you're scoring 5 or 6 goals. There should never be situations where you lose 2 games where you lose 6-5 in OT in the run of what was it, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. So something does need to give if this is Samsonov, like you said, getting the stint in the AHL, getting back to his form and coming back, or the Leafs moving on and maybe looking for a new guy, maybe using Martin Jones as a starter until Joesph Woll's back, or just figuring out internally what they can do moving forward to make sure this club gets the points they deserve.
Yeah, Samsonov said in his post-game interview last night that he's working hard. He's staying after practice with the goalie coach to try to figure this out. So I really do think, he needs a win. I think if he gets a win, he's back to form. He has the confidence back. So I really hope that, he can have one more start here, have a great game. I really hope that Samsonov gets back to form because you hate seeing a goaltender go through times like this. I mean, we talked about Jack Campbell earlier this year. It just really sucks to see. Just really hope everything works out for Samsonov here in Toronto. But like you said, like you alluded to here, we're going to talk about possible moves incoming for the Toronto Maple Leafs. And as we take a look here, this is what Sheldon Keefe says. I'm sure Treliving is going to consider everything. He said they're already into their third goalie with Marty Jones. Now you're starting to get into your guys who are developing. Now you got to think about them and putting them in positions to succeed and not derail their development. That's going well at the same time. It's the NHL. And as we take a look here, Marty Jones has played very solid here in Toronto during his first 6 or 7 starts he's been in. He's 4-2 right now with a 914 save percentage. And the guy that he alluded to about maybe derailing his development is Dennis Hildbey, the Hildbeast down in the AHL. He is posting a 7-5-2 record with a 920 save percentage. I really do think that he's probably the best goaltending prospect in Toronto if you take out Joesph Woll. But it is a situation where they know what they did with Joesph Woll before. They didn't call him up too early, and now you see him. He's a star goaltender in Toronto. So I really don't think they go to bring this guy up at all unless there's an injury involved. I really do think you kind of let this guy run out the rest of the season in the AHL and then take a look at him in training camp next year.
I just want to say thank God no one claimed Martin Jones at the start of the year. He's came in a situation where he wasn't getting AHL starts. He was the third goalie. He was the odd goalie out really in the Leafs organization. Joesph Woll went down. Obviously, he had to step in. He's looked good in his games. I don't trust him as a number one, but I think Martin Jones has been the perfect kind of filler in as a backup or whatever you wanted to call him. But then you kind of look at a guy like Hildeby, and he's been so good in the AHL. You don't want to derail this, but I'm also not against the choice of just maybe giving him a game or two here and there until Joesph Woll's back, just to see how he does. Let him get the taste of the NHL. Maybe this motivates the guy even more. Maybe this just helps with his development, but I'm not too keen on bringing him up and making him a full-time backup or starting goalie until Joesph Woll's back.
Yeah, I definitely have to agree with you there. I think, you bring a guy up early and, he has a bad start. I really do think that affects his mental game and really hurts his development. But you never know. He could come up and have a shutout. We really never know what's going to happen here in this case because if he comes up and has a shutout, I mean, that's just going to help his development even more. It's kind of a high risk, high reward situation, in my opinion. But there is some other options they could look at, whether it's free agent signing or a trade. And we're just going to bring them up here. Some guys that we've talked about here on the channel before of Jake Allen, Kaapo Kokkonen from Minnesota, and James Reimer. And there's another option that's not here listed, and that is Louis Domingue and Yaroslav Halak. These are both guys that they can make a move for too. If Treliving sees fit that they need to trade for a goaltender, I believe you'll see one of these guys land in Toronto.
Yeah, the big problem with looking at the goalie market and maybe making the rash decision of going out and making this trade is you have so many teams looking for a goalie at the moment. I mean, the New Jersey Devils are currently looking for a goalie. They're probably shooting for more of a starting goalie than a backup. But then you also have so many teams. The Oilers are still looking. There's teams in the hunt, and the goalie market's going to be quite high. I mean, you look at the Canucks, they made their trade early on to get to Smith. I think that was the perfect time, and I think Montreal could have waited longer, got more value at this current moment with so many teams struggling, but they jumped on early. But there's so many teams looking for this goalie, Carolina is as well, that the Leafs might get into a bidding war. The last thing you want to do is get into a bidding war on a backup goalie, a third string, whatever it may be. I think the Leafs are going to look for a backup. I think Joesph Woll is a clear starter, but you also need to look at this. If Joesph Woll comes back, re-aggravates an injury, goes down again, or his play isn't what it was to start the year, then you're in the situation of running Samsonov, Woll, Martin Jones, whoever it may be, all not performing at their max value, and then you're kind of looking for the starting goalie. So I think looking for a 2B kind of, or 1B, sorry, type goalie where he can split starts with Woll if this is moving Samsonov off to get him, or if you can get a cheap option, maybe keep all three, all four. The Leafs have cap space, they can work with what they have. I think a goalie needs to come sooner rather than later because you can't let this team continue to lose points in the standings because of the lack of goaltending and then kind of unmotivate guys going into the postseason.
Yeah, I think here, if they do make a trade, I really do think that we will see Samsonov or Martin Jones go back in the other direction because you don't want to bring another guy in and then when Woll comes back, you got four goalies there now and you're past the trade deadline. You can't get rid of any of them and it just, you're in a bad situation. I really do think if you're bringing someone in, you got to move one of these guys out. But it'll be really interesting to see what happens here over the next coming weeks because I really do think something will happen very soon here. I mean, like Sheldon Keefe said in his interview last night, like they need something to happen, they need something to work out, and he has full faith in Treliving to do that. So it'll really be interesting. I'm sure they had a long conversation between two of them after last night's game. So we'll keep you up to date on everything that's going to happen here in Toronto, and we'll let you know what's on the go. But if let us know down below in the comment section. Sorry, what do you think? Who do you think the Leafs should trade for? What do you think that the best solution to this situation is? But we're gonna get in everybody's favorite topic here, and that is comment of the day. And the comment of the day today goes to Chuck. He says the best player on the Ducks is Donald. Treliving can swing that deal. Well, maybe. Shout out to you, Donald. That's a really funny comment. I thought that was pretty funny when we read that one there this morning. But shout out to you. Thanks for your support. Really appreciate it. I think the Ducks have a few better players than Donald, but you never know. He could come on the ice and just light it up for him. But if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to go down below, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We're trying to hit 3,000 subscribers, so I really appreciate it if you went down, hit that subscribe button. If you enjoy the NHL, make sure to check out this video that's popping up on your screen right now. But as always, I've been your host, KC, alongside my co-host, Mark Pye. Keep your stick on the ice.